Turn up the dial, it's 10:30. We back. Spin that back show, all the classics on track. From 79 to 99, we're crossing the gap. Album reviews, little known facts, hip hop intact. Saturday mornings, dive into the history. Samples and stories, old school mysteries. Early self-static, Shiraz and CBD. Roll up out of bean. Turn it up, let the vinyl spin. 10:30 sharp, where the stories begin. From the golden era, treasures within. Spin that back show every Saturday when we break it down, the legends and the lore. Every beat, every rhyme, uncover more. From Grandmaster Flash to Nas's Raw, we're bridging the past, hip-hop's core.
All right. Can we get to spin that back one time?
That's what's up.
Yes, indeed. Check this out. This is the Spin That Back show. It must be 10:30 on the Saturday morning. And we're here. I'm the old man. My name is El Pooh. We got Mr. Nice Guy here. And today, we're going to talk about what we usually talk about. Hip-hop from 79 to 99. With a focus in on one of the most influential groups of all time in hip-hop. We're going to be talking about the enemy that's public. Public Enemy. Yes, sir. So, Mr. Nice Guy, how you doing there today?
Doing great. Happy to talk about one of my absolute favorite all-time music groups of all time.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mark Cram Karn, the sixth. Greetings, my brother. Yeah, we're about to bring the noise, just like you just said right there. Yes, sir.
Like and Afro Agnostics is supposed to hop on, so hopefully, he'll get in here to be able to add to this. Mr. Floyd X.
Floyd X
might be in the background.
Might be popping.
He might just be in the background.
Okay. Either way. So.
No. Is the background? Or you coming in? Okay, he's there.
I'm gonna pop in.
There you go. That's
Mr. Floyd X is in the house.
Yeah. Public Enemy, I gotta represent for PE, man. Come on.
PE, yes, sir.
PE brought me Farrakhan. I probably wouldn't know about Farrakhan if it wasn't for PE. So
here.
I had no idea about Farrakhan until I heard PE say Farrakhan's a prophet, and you go.
Farrakhan's a prophet that I think you ought to listen to. Yeah, exactly.
But what I want to focus in on today is we're gonna talk about the legacy of Public Enemy and everything. We're gonna start back from the early times and everything. But the first thing I want to bring up is this legendary, iconic. What's that? Their logo, basically.
Logo.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Chuck D designed that logo. Now take a good look at this logo. You got a B-boy right there, and the B-boy stands in the crosshairs.
And you know which B-boy that is, right?
Oh yeah, I forgot. Who is it?
That's DMC. That's literally, he took that from, he literally took the picture of DMC and flipped that into a logo. So, just
stuff you learn on the Spin That Back show.
Hey man, he did some big things. Hey man, Chuck's the one that named Busta Rhymes. He gave him the name Busta Rhymes. So
after a football player.
Yeah, so that's what's up. So let's speak on it.
Yeah, let's speak on it. So check this out, y'all. So their first album was dropped in 1987, February 87.
Whoa, that's not it.
Oh, excuse me. Hold on. I'm on the wrong one here.
Your bum rush the show.
Let me find it here. I'm sorry about that.
There you go.
Line up. Wrong gear. Yo, Bum Rush the Show. Now, check this out. This is 87. Now, in 1987, I had moved to Kentucky for a year with my father. I was starting high school, 9th grade, something like that. And it was this dude that was in one of my classes, and he had a Public Enemy T-shirt. I'm like, what the hell is that? Public Enemy, man. This dude in Kentucky. I'm from California. I had no idea who Public Enemy was. Still didn't know. But anyway, that's my introduction to Public Enemy. But you know what? I didn't hear this album until after I heard the second album, which is It Takes a Nation of Millions. Everybody knows that album. I slept on this album. But when I started listening to this album, I actually went back through it last night. I realized so much stuff came from this album. This album was so influential. Now you got to think, you coming out of 86. 86, you had Run DMC, Walk This Way and all that else. So I think it was Raising Hell album. Then you had the Beastie Boys on top of the world with, their album, License to Ill. So I was into all that, of course. Public Enemy didn't hit my radar at all. Now, what else came out around that time, 87, was NWA. Well, Eazy at the time. 8 Ball, Dope Man, those singles and everything. And they had so many samples, well, a few samples that was from Yo Bum Rush the Show. They had that Too Much Posse. I didn't know where that came from till yesterday, basically. And also that Stumping Up Mud Hole in Your Ass. Man, I didn't know that was Flavor Flav from the same album. And a whole lot of plethora of other samples and everything. But still in all, let's talk about the musicology of it, the timeline of it. These dudes had actually changed hip-hop music in this time. Their production was a little different than Marley Marl. They was using samples and everything, but they was using them different than Marley Marl in a sense. They was layering stuff, just had things going in and out. It was just a whole different vibe. And then Chuck D, we were just talking about this, me and Mr. Nice Guy, had that distinctive voice. So what did you think when you first heard Chuck D's voice, brother?
So the first time that I heard Public Enemy was Rebel Without a Pause.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually had the single. So the Rebel Without a Pause, and then the flip side of it was My Uzi Weighed a Ton, which is, my favorite song from the Yo Bum Rush the Show album. Rebel Without a Pause was not on the original album. You know what I'm saying? It's just the single in between. But I mean, just the power, just how he starts off, yes. And it's just like, he just hit you. It's kind of an old school style, you know what I'm saying? Because it's very flavorful, very emotional, very sort of like dragged out. But he has this just great rap voice. I mean, in my opinion, he has the greatest rap voice of all time. It just phonically sounds amazing. It's phonically powerful, you know what I'm saying? And then you just have Flavor Flav, how it's breaking up, how it's just going between those two things. And then just, Terminator X scratching the rock and roll dude and stuff like that, and rock and roll. So it's just like this song was just like, just mind blowing. Because plus also the noise is going on in the background the whole time. And it turns out that Flavor Flav was playing the drums live on a drum machine through the whole thing. The drums aren't even sequenced on that song. They sequenced the other stuff, but they didn't even sequence the drum. He's playing the drum to give it more of a natural feel because of how rigid, the drum machines were back at the time. That's before they got to the swing dynamics and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's mind-blowing how that all came together. One of the greatest, rap producing conglomerates ever come to the Bomb Squad. Just amazing.
And spin that back one time. We got to give props to Flavor Flav. Flavor Flav is a musician. He plays the piano. He's like classically trained in piano. He plays the drums. And I think he plays bass too, I think. Don't quote me on that.
And he also plays the coon, but that's all right. That's okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying.
Flavor Flav is, he's the greatest hype man of all time.
Greatest hype man. He's a great person.
When did you come in contact with Yo Bum Rush the show? When did you first get this?
I don't know if it was listening to KDAY and hearing Bring the Noise. I think that was the first song I heard from him. And I was hooked on. I used to love that shit. Bring the Noise was a good ass song. And then I think I heard It Takes a Nation of Millions album before I even knew that Yo Bum Rush the Show existed. When I heard Bum Rush the Show, I'm like, damn, that's them. And I went back and listened to Yo Bum Rush the Show. I was in love with that thing. Because I think I heard My Uzi Weighed a Ton. I was like, where's that song? That's a new song coming out? No, that's from the other album, the first album. I was like, oh, shit. So I went back and listened to that album. Man, I was so impressed. I fell in love with Public Enemy. But I didn't look at him like every other rapper. To me, they look like some grown men talking some grown stuff that I could learn from. Because most rappers, LL Cool J, Big Daddy Kane, I listened because they sounded cool and all this stuff. But for them, I was hearing all this stuff they talking about. And some of it, I didn't even know what they was talking about. I just know it sounded good.
Mhm.
And Public Enemy was a lot older than they wouldn't even want to tell you the age because they didn't want it to, people like, oh, listen to these old guys do stuff like that. So they didn't let that out. But I mean, they were like 27, 28 dropping these songs, you know what I'm saying? And we at the time when I was like 17, 18, you know what I'm saying? So they were kind of like fooling us with this, but they gave us something, magical. Afro Agnostic, what was your first exposure to Public Enemy?
My cousin June, he had the first album. What was the first album?
Yo Bum Rush the Show.
Yo Bum Rush the Show. I thought it was mediocre. I didn't really, I was like, okay, that song. I was impressed by the song with Flavor Flav, My Posse.
Too Much Posse.
What was it? My Posse.
Too much posse.
Yeah, too much. They had that PSK. Boom, boom, boom. So I like that one. And then, of course, the What Goes On. Well,
I'm telling you, man, those rhymes, man, on there like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, it's just like
that was my favorite one.
Yeah. My favorite one
was that the one called my 98?
Yeah.
That's, you're going to get yours. You're going to get yours. That's the first song on there. You're going to get yours.
So after the second one,
I know you hate
I appreciated that one even more. That's how I went.
And they was on some just rapping b-boy type stuff. They was talking about battling all this. They wasn't a political group in that first album. They was just MCs, just like Karis One. We think of Karis One as this, teaching all this other stuff, and he used that terminology. But that first album was just some b-boy ignorant type stuff, guns on the cover type stuff. He acknowledges that. That first album, same with PE. You know what I'm saying? They were just dudes rhyming, just having fun. He's talking about battling and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes, sir. And another thing was, it was a big contrast between the first album and the second album. One major difference was he had the second song on here was called Sophisticated Bitch.
Oh, yeah.
I never heard Chuck D use the word bitch after this. That's just me. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't think he did either.
Yes, sir. So, man, he was like on some real crazy stuff then. But anyway.
It was a a thoughtful song. It wasn't just like too short. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying that but yeah, he did use the word.
Another quick thing what impressed me about the first one was the album cover, the imagery and stuff.
Okay, yes, sir. In fact, let's pull it back up just to take a quick glance at it. Let me actually bring it up here.
Because if I'm not mistaken, he had the S1Ws though, so that was still a nation.
Security of the first world, Yeah.
You see Griff right here, right on the right over here. So yeah. Then you got a Terminator. I guess that's a Terminator. Is that Terminator next to Chuck?
Chuck D. Yep.
Yes, sir. Flav, you can barely see him if he's in here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm looking. I'm like, I don't know if I even see Flav. That brother's dark. But this album, I was listening to it last night. I really wanted to go back and just try to get back into these things. I remember when I first heard this album, I'm not sure if I heard it before Nation, because if I did, it was literally maybe a month or so apart, because one came out in 87, one came out in 88, and really the big buzz was Rebel with a Pause, and Rebel with a Pause was after the album. Usually back in those days, you'd have a single, and the single would be way in front of the album type situation. That wasn't the case with this. The album had already came out, and then the single that single was Rebel Without a Pause, which is sort of like an in-between from this first album and the second album, and it had My Uzi Weighs a Ton on it on the flip side of it. So that was my exposure. But I'm just telling you that it's not as sophisticated production-wise as they really figured it out on the second album, but it's still light years. I mean, again, the fact that Flavor Flav is playing the drums live on the drum machine and Rebel with a Pause throughout the whole song, they didn't even sequence it. That's mind blowing. You know what I'm saying?
Whoa, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's mind blowing, man. Because they didn't want to. That was their way to try to get around the rigidity. Because you had I forget what they call it. What they call it when the drum would force into a particular. It was a particular term that basically strict. You could tell quantizing, yeah. But it would fall into that hard 16, groove. So it'd be real rigid and stuff like that. So ultimately drum machines, they figured out this swing dynamic, and you could even stretch it out to sort of like more extrapolate, because human beings are less rigid than that with their natural playing. So, but in those days, it was tough.
Yeah, thanks to Roger Lynn, the inventor of the MPC. So yes, sir. So in this album, My Uzi Weighs a Ton was number 3. Great song. It was like
Great song.
gap between the old school and the new school with the sampling and everything, because they did use that Melvin Bliss synthetic.
Substitution.
Yes, sir. They did use to that on the piano and everything. Great song.
Is this the first album you're referring to?
The first album.
Yeah,
Yo
the first
Bum
album.
Rush the Show.
Didn't they also had a song, oh please, just give me one more hit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Love that song too. The fourth song was called Time Bomb. Y'all remember that one?
Yes, I remember it. Well, I actually just played it again, but I didn't think a whole lot of this album as at the time, but in retrospect, I appreciate it even more. Even though, like you said before, a lot of sampling, a lot of people got a lot of stuff from that, and he's got those great, like sort of like rhyme sequences. Like even Uzi Wear a Ton, he talks about, it's plain to be, it's a strain to be number one in the public eye and to me. He's doing, what I'm saying? I always thought, like, as a writer, I'm like, this guy has to be freestyling a lot of this stuff, because he's saying it in a way that sounds very good, that you might not calculate so much just with the pen. But I mean, he was a master at that. So, shout out to Chuck.
Now, the thing about this song right here, I didn't really get hip to it until EPMD had redid it for a song called Never Seen Before, Heard Before. I think that was like 99, 2000, somewhere up in there. When he came with that, I think, Back in Business album, they used the exact same sample.
Mm-hmm.
Sample is the meters, of course. I Just Kissed My Baby, I think it's called. Either way, great song. Much props to Chuck D and PE for that song. Great song. And like I said, I got exposed to it from the EPMD version. I was like, oh shit, that's old that's old PE song. I'm like, yo, that's dope.
Mad props to the meters. You bring up the meters, the meters were a great sampling source. I mean, that discography is amazing. So salute to those hip hop pioneers that didn't understand that they was doing hip hop before hip hop.
That New Orleans funk. That back. And one of the Neville brothers was part of the meters too, right?
Wow. I didn't know that.
Sure. All right, then you got number 5, Too Much Posse. I first heard that sample in 8-Ball, NWA or Eazy-E. Didn't know where it came from till yesterday while I listened to it. I'm like, oh shit. I had heard it before, but forgot about it over the years. But yo, NWA, their early music was very, very much influenced by this album right here. And the second album too, of course, but they did a lot of sampling from this right here. I didn't realize it. But yo, big influence. In fact, one of the last songs on here, Mega Blast, which is number 11?
11.
Yeah. That's kind of like they was talking about, dope selling and everything on the East Coast. So then NWA came with Dope Man. That was like their West Coast version of it, in my opinion. Listening to it, I'm like, oh, that's where that came from. Anyway, I mean, I don't know if y'all think about it like that, but that was my perspective. All right, anyway, number 5. That's Too Much Posse. Then number 6 is Right Starter, Message to a Black Man. Now, this is like the only kind of conscious song that they had on this album. Everything else was kind of like B-boy, more or less. This was semi-conscious in a sense.
Sophisticated B is a conscious song. You know what I'm saying?
It's just they use the word bitch. That's just
the word. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, sir. You're right about that. All right. Then you got Public Enemy, number 1.
That was my first time hearing that James Brown. I didn't know it was, I didn't know it was James Brown until later. But that's a badass song.
It's actually Fred Wesley, Blow Your Head.
Yeah. It's man, that sample. I mean, I mean, that's what I love so much about that era. You know, they had some great samples, great breakbeats, great noises, great things that a lot of people were tapping into. But you know, certain people would be like the first people to put it on a record type situation. This was one of them songs. They were rocking the noise in the background type thing, noise as music.
Yep, and they did it well. I mean, who did it better than them?
And interesting fact that I read while going through the Bible of information, that was talking about how the Shockley brothers, they wanted to make beats that can match or compete with Chuck D's voice and rhyme style. So it was like that was an organic group coming together. Okay, we got to make this match and meet to compete with his rhyme, because you know he had that forceful voice. You couldn't imagine Chuck D rapping over like an Eric B and Rakim beat. It had to be hard and loud and a lot going on, and that's what they brought. And then another thing I found out was that they the Shockley brothers, they was all a part of the group. They used to tour, and then at one point they say, we're gonna stay back and make the beats and work on the music. So when y'all come back, we'll be ready to start recording again. And that's how they kept that system going. They was establishing a system. And you know, and it was a trip that they ran into racism, stuck in Chung King Studios or somebody. They didn't like hip hop or rap music. They didn't want to record this, so they had to find new studios to record at. So even in the midst of being this pro-black group, that was running into racism and discrimination, and it fueled that need to make this good ass music that put so much into our young hearts, that made us to the warriors that we are today. All right.
What you got up next on this? What's next on this? I mean, basically, you're muted, infamous El Poo. You know, this again. I respect this album a whole lot more now in retrospect, but this wasn't their really strength, and it seems like a lot of us has heard this out of sequence. I mean, when you really figured out who PE was, it was Rebel Without a Pause, because that was the single, that was the thing that was going on. And then Less Than Zero was a movie that came out with Robert, the dude from the Avengers. I forgot what his name is. I can't remember. Robert Downey Jr. Mm-hmm. So on the soundtrack, that was Bring the Noise. So that was the single that came from. So Bring the Noise. So Bring the Noise came out before that the second album with Nation Takes a Nation to Hold Us Back, or whatever. The greatest Nation of Millions, the greatest hip hop album ever, in my opinion. The greatest hip hop album ever, period.
Large class.
It's actually close, in my opinion, because of just the time frame and everything and the influence that it had. But the next song was called MPE, right? And then you got a sample of somebody saying public enemy.
Damn.
Bernie Sanders.
I think that was from a movie. I think that was from a movie too. Yeah.
Okay, yes, sir. But yeah, it was a great song though. Then Yo Bum Rush the Show.
Title song.
Yes, sir. Another good one. Raise the Roof.
Raise the Roof.
I have to I listened to it. I know it was a great song. I listened to it yesterday. But the Mega Blast, this is the one I was talking about, where they were talking about, dope dealers and everything on the East Coast and how they saw the situation. And I think Dope Man was like a play on this from the West Coast perspective. That's just my opinion.
But Dope Man might have came out before then. I think Dope Man might have came out before.
Because I think they, remember they were sampling, a lot of this stuff at the time.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And that's the thing about it. You got to understand, Dre is a DJ, the Rhodium Swap Meet and all this stuff. I mean, they had a large array of music that they would tap in for all this stuff. So, you got some of the best sort of sampling of rap music from Dre's camp, so.
And this is the reason why I think a lot of people actually kind of gravitated to NWA, because they were sampling a lot of East Coast music and stuff. So they can kind of relate to it. And then the production style was based off the East Coast. Dre took his stuff from the electronic to the East Coast hip hop at this time. So,
yeah, in Detroit, we would get mixtapes from Dre before NWA even came out. They would have mixtapes.
Yeah, like I said, the Rhodium Swap Meet, the Rodeo Swap Meet mixes is fantastic, mega mixes.
I didn't get all the way to Detroit. I don't know, but we would get them.
Yeah, Dre was just that timeless. All right, then Terminator X Speaks with His Hands, which is kind of
Another
like,
DJ song. Another DJ song.
I got a question though, brothers. What wasn't the song where he said "Mind over Matter"? Mouth in Motion. Was that on the first album?
You got me on that one now.
That'd be the first one.
Yeah, I feel like that was the first
Mouth
album.
in Motion. Kings, right? Because I'll never be quiet. Let's start this. Play that beat and the whole. Play.
Oh no, that would have been yeah, I remember that, but yeah, I have to look that up. I want to say that might be a little bit more sophisticated because I could kind of place these albums just by sort of like the rhyme schemes. He was definitely way more sort of like playful, patterny, in the first album. In the second album, he's really, now I'm starting to say stuff, and he's still doing that stuff. He's still saying stuff that like literally just, like I said, it almost sounds like a freestyle, and not from a lack of preparation, but just really really going with the beat as opposed to, this thing being created, and these things coming together. So when you talk about El Pooh saying that they really worked on those beats to match him, they did a great job of doing that. Or
Actually, Floyd X said that. Let me give him his props. Floyd X did say that.
I gave back to him.
Thank you.
In that back one.
Yeah.
Okay, so in my opinion, this is one of the greatest albums ever. I just really got acclimated with it last night. I had to listen to it like 3 times. I'm like, damn, I missed all this stuff. I still have to really appreciate it even more. But either way, so when I first heard of Public Enemy, or really got really involved with them, I'll say, was the second album. I actually bought this album, which was "It Takes a Nation of." Where is it? God damn it!
Yeah, that was it. The greatest album ever.
Yes, sir. Now we're gonna talk about the track lineup on this. Now check this out. When this album starts off, there's intro, Countdown to Armageddon, and it starts off. They're on tour in London, I guess it is, and they introduce Public Enemy and everything. The crowd is going crazy. I'm like, how do these motherfuckers know about these people? And I don't know nothing about them. I was kind of surprised at that. I'm like, how they know about them way in London, and I'm in LA, and I don't know about these dudes. So anyway. And then the first song on here is number 2, "Bring the Noise." When I first heard this, I was like, what the hell is going on? What's all that noise going on? It was like confusing, but it was like, it sound good. Yeah. And what the hell? And this dude right here just rapping. What, "Bring the Noise," man? How did "Bring the Noise" start? Bass. How low can you go? Is that "Bring the Noise"? Yeah, that is "Bring the Noise," right?
No, that's bass. How low can you go? That's bass. That's another song.
What a brother know. Once again, back is the incredible. That is "Bring the Noise."
Too black, too strong.
It's too black, too strong is the way it starts off. Yeah, Yeah, no, and that's the "Too Black, Too Strong," and then it goes into, and again, this again, it originally was off the soundtrack of Less Than Zero. This song, man, it got me so emotionally, like that was the thing that I really loved about rap music. It really just raised my adrenaline. Like, you can hear this song. This song is this ain't easily listening music. That was like when me and Brick Walls was talking about a lot of when Dre got to G-Funk and stuff like that. No knock on that stuff. That's good stuff or whatever. But it feels like easy to listen to me. This is the music that makes you want to go knocking stuff over. You know what I'm saying? And just get all hyped and all crazy and stuff like that. But just the noise, the breakdown. This, again, great formula going from Rebel to Pause with "Bring the Noise." Very similar kind of formulas and just very high energy and just dope.
El Pooh was right. It did start off bass.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. When I first heard that, it was like, wow, this is incredible. Especially when it got to the hook. Turn it up. And it got all this stuff going on.
Bring the noise. Yeah.
You got the cutting, the scratching and stuff. I'm like, man, this stuff is crazy. And then you got Flavor Flav talking crazy and
the best hype man ever. And then there's a breakdown in the song where they did
Terminator doing this thing.
And wait, no, when they do the breakdown on the song, that's the flow that all the young cats are doing now. That flow, that's the young people's flow now. The simp and 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 the simp. That's corrupt like an editor. You know, that's that flow that they're doing. That's a standard flow for the young people now. You know what I'm saying?
I can see
But
that.
He definitely did that. That was a dope ass breakdown. Corrupt like a senator. But man, and then Anthrax did a version. They did a remix of it.
Right.
That's why this became so big, because it became like a super rock song after that. So, I got to marry those two things to that. But, yeah.
I just want to say, too, man, I remember I got kicked out of Denby High School, East Side, and I went to Martin King, and it was his brother in the class, man. He had the African medallion on, and, he just impressed me so much. And I don't know how we started talking, but he was like, man, you got to listen to Public Enemy, brother. You know what I'm saying? They follow Farrakhan. I'm like, who was Farrakhan? He's like,
exactly.
You got to listen to the brother Farrakhan. That was my first introduction to the nation and everything right there.
In fact, you mentioned Farrakhan in this song, actually.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That's the one, the Farrakhan's a prophet that I think you ought to listen to.
Yeah. What you want to do. Yes, sir. So, in fact, what part of Detroit you from?
East Side. I was raised on the East Side. I was born in the West a couple of years, but then I'm raised totally on the East Side.
I used to stay. I was out there for a few months. I was on like Rosa Parks and West Grand, right there by the Town Museum and everything. Yeah. Right over
East
there.
Side. I mean, I was in one of the 3 houses over there on the East Side.
Oh, I never went to the East Side. I had enough of the East Side in LA, so I was good. Okay, so number 3. Don't believe the hype.
Man.
They was talking about fake news way back then.
This is the James Brown sample.
Oh yeah, of course. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Answer my pants and I need to dance.
I was so impressed by that song, man. I went to that was a year I went to New York, and I already knew. I bought like the Maxwell tapes, 90 minutes.
Oh yeah, the Maxwell.
And I bought 2 radios, one for Kiss FM and one for WBLS.
Wow.
And because I knew what time I'm taping both, and that Don't Believe the Hype was just so, the rhyme pattern, the scheme, it was just so catchy. Flav on the hook, that was, man.
Herbie. He said, you're a writer. Are we that type? Don't believe the hype. Just So yeah. I said love, but not Herbie. It was Herbie. I forgot what's name.
He was a journalist.
Yeah.
Harry Allen.
Harry Allen. Yeah.
All right. And then number 4 was Cole Lampin with Flavor. Another solo, because he had a solo on the other one
they
too.
Pretty much always give you one solo,
Yes, sir.
So Cole,
this right here, this was a hell of a song, actually.
Yeah.
But what really impressed me was, did y'all ever see that movie Ghost Dog with Forrest Whitaker?
Mm-hmm.
I laughed when I saw the trailer. I laughed at it. I thought how ridiculous it was. Then I saw the movie and was like, "That's a phenomenal movie."
Great movie. You had one of those white boys in there playing this song right here, Cole Lampin with Flavor, reciting all the lyrics. So I'm like, damn, he know this song better than I do. It was crazy. It was an older white dude too.
Flav got those songs to reach out to white people. Word the Unga Bunga.
Oh man. Okay, so then you got Terminator X on the Edge of Panic. Flash.
Queen.
Yeah, Queen. Yes, sir. Then you got Mind Terrorists. Honestly, I don't really remember the song. I know it's a dope song.
I think that's it. The Mind in Motion.
That's the one you're talking about. Okay, yes, sir.
Play that beat.
Yes, sir. Oh, yeah, definitely. Right. Then Louder Than the Bomb. Louder.
The production on this album is just phenomenal. You can't afford to do that type of sampling anymore. But they were doing chops. They weren't just playing loops. You know what I'm saying? They were chopping stuff up so they could play them how they wanted and stuff like that. So they were doing it, but they were hitting you with a ton of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So you were getting a lot of samples. You were getting a lot of Farrakhan. You were getting a lot of Khalid Muhammad. You know what I'm saying? So that the Khalid Muhammad was the guy that was a lot of people thought that things that were being said was Farrakhan saying, they were actually Khalid Muhammad saying them. So he brought us that stuff, but dope stuff.
And once again, didn't even know who Khalid Muhammad was either. So thank you, Public Enemy.
And rest in peace. Shout out to Brother Donahue. He wasn't afraid of putting these guys, on the show to speak, talking about Farrakhan, Khalid Muhammad. You know what I'm saying? We got exposure to people. These people weren't hidden. So,
And that was another thing. During this time, a lot of people there was more, the record companies required or that the artists interact with the public, go on shows, try to justify their albums and stuff like that. That's why I kind of knew Harry Allen from that. And KRS-One, Ice-T, especially. Ice-T was big going around in on the talk show circuit. There was a lot of that going on at the time.
He had a lot of explaining to do. Cop killer.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers.
Warner Brother, please.
Record companies don't do that anymore,
No,
they don't do a whole bunch of things anymore. You really don't even have record sales. You're primarily dependent on streams, which seems kind of funky, but
And then number 8 was Caught. Can I Get a Witness?
This is my joint. This was fast. I love this. That little kind of offbeat that would go with it and stuff like that. And this was using the what's the shaft, right? This was the one that it was using like this the shaft. Anyway, the bottom line is this one high speed. I used to love those like high tempo songs like Big Daddy Kane Raw and stuff like that, and obviously the way faster one was what was that one with the Step Off or whatever that song was.
Set It Off.
Set it off. Yeah, that was like really fast tempo. So that's when the dudes just flowing and going off and stuff like this. But this was Caught. Can I Get a Witness? This is one of my favorite songs on the album.
Yeah, this is a good song you can blend with like Raw, Big Daddy Kane. If you was doing some mixing and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, then show them what you got. Now this was just like a little instrumental in a sense, but it had that famous saxophone line. Da-da-da-da-da.
Oh,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's the first time you heard that.
Yeah.
First time I heard it. Then you hear it on Rump Shaker. Then you hear it on all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah.
This is the first time I heard that saxophone line. Great. All right, and then you got She Watch Channel Zero.
She watch.
Great
this
song.
is a rock song.
Great message, though. Great message.
Yeah.
You're watching that trash. You're blind, baby. You're blind because you're watching that trash.
And that's another thing that people sample. You're blind to the fact, whatever. So I think NWA might have used that sample. But
I think a few people might use that sample. You know what I'm saying? All right, then Night of the Living Basshead. Here's another one. And when you heard this, it's like, where did they get this from?
Man.
When I finally heard the actual sample, I'm like, wow, how did they dig up all this stuff? James Brown and his peoples made some of the funkiest music ever, and these people exploited that. In fact, one more thing. Public Enemy, this album right here, I think this is the first time I heard Funky Drummer. Because the actual song came out in like 1971. It was like a single, but it didn't even chart. But it was released on like a compilation album that James Brown had put out in like 86, 87, somewhere around up in there. And it had that song, Funky Drummer. And these were some of the first people I heard that actually sampled it.
So, what was it? But Night of the Living Basshead. First of all, this video is a dope ass video. Flavor, kick the ballistics, G.
They were playing.
So, but this is.
You ain't go free him and you ain't go see him.
This is a banging song. Just the energy on this. This is a song that this might have been my favorite song from this album. You know what I'm saying? I lean more into the high energy, kind of high paced stuff. Because you got to understand, in LA, we didn't have like a lot of the good dances to like the slower stuff. Like New York had like a lot of dances, like the Bismarck dance and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. We almost, as DJs, if you were in the club and you playing, you'd have to pitch stuff up to kind of get stuff to a tempo that people, because we had a lot of these dances that were like, faster type stuff. I mean, when they were like NWA, like we're gonna make a song called Something to Dance To, it's basically at that trendy speed. You know what I'm saying? So it just was, you almost had to have that type of energy. We had the high energy dances on the West Coast, but they still had the boogie going on. You always had the two-step to get you through.
Of course.
I just mentioned too, man, the samples on that song, man, like you can see it on their faces. Then they had the Run DMC, First
Serve basis. Oh man.
Then they had the Young Herb, like take it from the top, Salt and Pepper.
Salt and Pepper, yeah.
Yeah, it was just like unbelievable, man. Just the breaks and just that whole line. How does it start off? That's fake. Damn, how does it start
Bass,
off?
how low can you go? Death Row, what a brother. No, that's I messed up. I keep going to.
Have you forgotten when we were brought here? We were robbed of our names. Robbed. And then how does it start off the first line?
Here it is. Bam.
Bam.
In your face. God damn. This is a dope jam.
But let's define a dope. Something you think it means funky now. Nope.
Yeah. There you go.
So yeah, and he breaks it down. And again, the East Coast had a completely different experience with the crack. Like crack was an issue on both sides, but we had different because you were spaced out. You weren't really on top of each other like they are. They had a real big difference. And there's probably way more money to be made over there because there just was way more consumers. In a packed area type situation.
I know this is kind of outrageous to say, but it's almost like this song just could have been like they didn't have to make any more songs for the album, just this one. I mean. This song was so monumental. Light of the Living Bassheads, man.
Like I said, this was my favorite song on this album. Definitely. I mean, this is amazing.
It might have been well, the next song to me was my favorite. Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos.
Oh,
that damn sound.
Yeah.
And this
I liked it, but yeah, it wasn't on that level to me. But I loved it. It's because I guess you guys like that more metal, cool back type thing, the piano and stuff like that. It's a dope song. But I was about the energy, man. I was about the energy.
And then the story was dope too, but just that sample, because the song that they sample is hyperbolic. It's a long ass name.
I got a letter from the government. The other day, I opened it, read it, said they were suckers.
Yo, great song. And just to find that sample, it's hard to find that sample. Even if you're listening to the song, you gotta listen, then find that one little piece. I'm like, damn, that was so dope. These dudes was musical geniuses.
These youngsters, they don't know about the digging in the crates, the struggle. I would literally go to a record store. And they would have where they sell old stuff, you know what I'm saying? And they have turntables set up with headphones. And you'd be sitting there just playing and playing and playing. You had to go through all type of stuff just to get this. Oh, that's what I want. Let me grab this up, take this, whatever, and stuff like that. Digging in the crates was an art and a tedious work. Just being able to play something in your head, that's simple. But finding the magic and this, that, and the other, then there was the issue of getting the legal rights to do it. That was a whole nother problem. But still.
Especially today. Spin that back one time because you can't do that now.
You can't do whatever. That was a golden era. They did that,
Yeah, in my day, we didn't even have no way to actually listen to the records. We look at the album covers, look at the back of it, try to see who was on it, and if the album cover looked good, maybe you'll buy it. Something like that.
Hey, El Pooh. Brick Wants used to get on me all the time. He's like he said you won't even pick out an album unless you see a saxophone on the cover. I was 100%. I'm going through all this other stuff. I'm like, saxophone on the cover. Let me listen to this one. So my whole crate was everything that had a saxophone on the cover.
Yes, sir. And
let's move on. Mark say he said something about the James Brown or something.
Oh yeah, James Brown. Yeah, he was talking about James Brown as his own musical category. I mean, this dude's discography. I mean, if you get the discography, I'll tell you, James Brown meters. And with James Brown, it wasn't just James Brown. You go get the JBs and stuff like that.
JBs, Maceo.
Oh man,
Horny Horns. Bobby Bird.
Get into it, get involved. I mean, this is
Yeah.
such a great song sample and just whatever, you know, Marley Marl flipped the hell out of that. But yeah, you know, man.
And even the females he had, I forgot their names right now, but yeah.
Mhm.
And then number 13, Security of the First World. Now, this was another instrumental. But what was so
Madonna.
special about this was Madonna had actually sampled this for Justify My Love. And I was like,
That's
whoa,
right.
Public
They
Enemy.
sued the crap out of her too. They were mad about James Brown suing them, but they turned around and sued her.
Yeah.
And they should have.
Exactly.
Okay. And then number 14, Rebel Without a Pause. One of the first songs I ever heard from them. And there we go again with that all that noise in the background and everything. Was like, this music was just so different than everybody else's. Everybody was doing just like straight up like drum, you know, drum and kick or kick and snare, whatever. They was doing all kinds of other stuff. They said it was called the Wall of Sound. Stole it from Phil Spector, the Wall of Sound. Anyway, Rebel Without a Pause. Great song. What you got to say about that?
Hey, we already talked about that. I mean, that's the fact that Flavor Flav literally played the drum on that live, you know, with the machine. So that wasn't even sequenced. The other stuff was sequenced, but not the drum. So that's just amazing, you know.
You know, Bill Cosby wouldn't allow Run DMC to come on the Cosby Show. Malcolm Jamal wanted them to come on. They ended up coming on his show on the weekend, the basement or whatever it was, because of the militancy and the look of Run DMC. But this was like that militant look times 600. I remember Without a Cause on Soul Train, and after the performance, Don Cornel he was scared. He was literally scared, like, whoa, like.
Hey, Third Base mocked these cats. They were sitting there mocking them. Beat the dog ish out of those cats.
Lay hands on them.
Beat the crap out of those mugs. But yeah, you know, so yeah. It was,
but shout out to the way this song started though, like that. Dun, dun, yes.
The rhythm, the rebel. Yeah, nah. You know, man, it's just honestly, I just love the change up, how it would go from that with Chuck's and then just a completely different vibe where, you know, we got now believe, you know, Chuck, man, you can't, Chuck, man, he's sitting there all this breaking up. And then, like I said, then every transition, whether it was Chuck's part, whether it was Flavor Flav's just sort of like intermissionary stuff, and then, you know, Terminator X Scratch and Rock and Roll Dude, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, man, it's just, everything about that song is just amazing. But yeah, that was my first exposure to them. And that song preceded the album. That was like an in-between. And I think they kind of might have added it later, or they had like a kind of maybe not a great version on the album. You know, a lot of times they do that stuff like Word to what Eric B. and Rakim did with Eric B's President, putting that terrible version on the album.
That was a terrible remix.
Yeah, just, you know.
Make them clap to that.
I hated that too. Yeah, I hated that. There was a parody rapper named Bobby Jimmy. And
I love Bobby Jimmy.
He had a song called LA New York Rappers. And they was doing Rebel Without a Pause. Had Flavor Flav in there like,
Shut up!
Chuck. But Chuck. Great song.
Like,
go listen to it. LA, New York.
And he was like, shut up.
But Chuck.
Oh yeah, Bobby Jimmy and the Critters. You know, I'm about to say El Pooh. DJ Pooh is one of those mugs, you know. Oh, that was crazy.
Okay. All right, so number 15, Prophets of Rage. Great
Another
song.
good one.
Oh man, you know what? I think I was mixing up when I was talking about the other song. Remember, it was the song you were saying that some Can I Get a Witness? Can't I Get a Witness is a dope ass song, but Prophets of Rage, I think, is the one that was the song to get a little stupid, get a little stupid. Yeah, that was, man, that was my joint on here. You know, this, man, I'm telling you, this album is just fabulous.
Where did that Get a Little Stupid come from?
One of those
stupid and pump that bit. No, hold up, no, that's not it.
It's, man, they you know, Man, I tell you, there's a great sequence. There's a great era of hip hop that we should really touch when you talk about like Triple Threat and stuff like that. That b-boy stuff. I mean, man, that just man, there's just that's there's some dope stuff. But they used to sample all that stuff, so they had a great library and a great usage of their library.
Yes, sir. The Bomb Squad had a tremendous record collection, like thousands of records. So anyway, Party for Your Right to Fight, last song, which is all right.
This is probably the weakest song on the album, would y'all say?
It probably was.
It was kind of a little rock song. It was like sort of like, I don't know, it was sort of little rock. I don't know. It's kind of dope because they actually, now think about it. So literally on this song, this is the song where Chuck D and Flavor Flav rap over the same thing. Like literally, they rap the whole time, in sequence. Like they're both saying exactly the thing at the same time. But I think I recall one was panned in one direction and one is panned in the other direction. This was kind of a pretty far out concept and stuff like that. But no, this was a dope thing because J. Edgar Hoover and you can't sleep on this song. You gotta revisit this song. This song was like this song had more to it.
True. But compared to the rest, though,
I understand what you're saying. Everything I always say everything's ranked. You know what I'm saying?
Now, did y'all see the video? Because they dropped what do you call it? Like a video for the album or a VHS.
Oh yeah, that's kind of dope. That's kind of dope. Yeah, I may have seen that because that was one of the people figuring that stuff out because that was around the time NWA. Hey, they did the pool party video, but they actually did like a niggas. Sorry, you got me say the word. In for life video.
Well, not the video. I'm talking about like a video.
It's documentary, like
documentary. That's what made me like
NWA. They did like a whole. They did a bit. I'm not just talking about the song. They did like they did like a whole thing on that album. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Again, they did a few things because that pool party is pretty notorious. I knew some of those females from school and stuff like that was dressed pretty risque and doing some things, But shout out to y'all sisters, you know what I'm saying.
I know we ran out of time here, so let me just go to this one real quick. Fear of a Black Planet. Is that the next one?
Yep.
Okay.
Black daddy, white child, black baby. Black child, that was the whole premise of this album. The fact that they're fear that if they mix with us, that child becomes one of us and not one of them. So that we're basically replacing them on the planet. So they're fear of the planet turning to black, just all black people. Fear of a black planet.
White fear.
Yeah.
Now. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So let's just go through the highlights of this album. Not every song. Let's see. 911 is a joke. Flavor Flav. Great song. Whole lot of samples, a lot of stuff going on. Just a great song. Welcome to the Terror Dome. Oh my goodness.
Woo! This song made me want to rip stuff up. This is definitely it. I mean, the energy on this song is just it's crazy. It's crazy.
Out of all the production I do, I can never match anything like this. This was just the most incredible production.
And the flow on it that he has on it, it's just like, it's just, man.
What do you think about Brothers Gonna Work It Out?
That's a positive song. I mean, that's just what it is. Brothers Gonna Work It Out. I mean, man,
great song. I don't think it's on this album, but it's a great song. I think it's on the next album, actually. Then we got
it's the second song. It's the second
song.
It
is.
You skipped over it to go to 9/11 is a joke.
I'm looking all down. Skip right past that. My bad, brother.
And this is the Burn Hollywood Burn with Ice Cube and Big Daddy Kane.
Yep. Anti-Nigger Machine was another good one too. But Burn Hollywood Burn was the first time you heard Ice Cube on an East Coast record also.
Yeah.
And that's when he was sitting there talking about Driving Miss. They wanted to go see some black movie, and they're like, who they playing? Driving Miss Daisy.
Mm-hmm. He said, wants to play something militant? Yeah, like H. Rap Brown? Yeah, I can do that. No. He wants to drive Miss Daisy, yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
Another good one was Polly Want a Cracker, if y'all remember that.
was interesting. Boosie, not Boosie, but George Clinton was on that one,
Whoa.
wasn't he?
No, I'm just looking at this album. I meant I was gonna forget about it, but they had this song on it. I don't remember the song being on the album. So on one of the singles that they released, they had a song on it called B-Side Wins Again.
Mm-hmm.
And it was basically a play on, the B-side is normally like just the other song or whatever. But we're going to emphasize the B-side, which is a play on the black side. But I mean, this song is, it's funky, it's dope. I mean, this sounds, man, it's a dope ass song,
Fight the Power was on here too. So, that's one of their biggest
Fight
songs.
the Power, one of their biggest songs. Spike
And
Lee.
I got to say, that's when Do the Right Thing came out too.
Yeah.
So it was
Spike Lee.
Yeah.
And they don't. That's the song. Shout out to my brother Chad. He don't really mess with me no more. But I remember him telling me that there ain't no beat on Fight the Power. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then they played it, and I'm like, what? There ain't no sample beat. It's just like literally just like it's just like a sample chop. You know what I'm saying? With just like maybe some type snare that I don't know if the snare is a function of the whatever, but there's no kick. You know what I'm saying? This song is like breaking all the rules, but it's just a dope ass song.
It's got a kick. It's got to have a kick. Come on.
Listen to it, man. It's the thump of the sample chop. There's no drum machine. There's no sample kick or whatever to it.
It's that James Brown sample that they actually use. I think. I got you though. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Now the song is a rip, not a rip, but it's a play off of Isley Brothers, Fight the Power.
Right. Exactly. That's where you got the idea from. Because they wanted to do some lift up your voice and sing type thing. And he was like, nah, we ain't doing that. But one other song on here, I Can't Do Nothing For You, man.
Okay. Yeah. This is my favorite solo Flavor Flav song of all time. This, again, this was on the House Party, soundtrack. When they had the great ass, dance sequence to this song too as well. I'm just telling you, this is one of my favorite. The flow on it. That's the thing about PE. PE was completely outside the box as far as music production, as far as flow, as far as content, just like whatever. You know what I'm saying? They didn't go by anybody else's formula. Their formula was uniquely theirs. I mean, even just with the hypeness dynamic with Flavor Flav, you know what I'm saying? It just, but man, I Can't Do Nothing For You, man. Jumped out of the jelly into a jam.
What y'all think about Flavor Flav? All the get like Chuck D was this militant voice, blah blah. He represented militant, didn't play around type of white man. Then you got Flavor Flav, who is really imitating the gestures of a coon.
He wasn't imitating. I mean, my take on Flavor Flav is he was a great phonic offset to the whatever, but he was an absolute contradiction to the things that they were saying. Every criticism that Professor Gibb has about Flavor Flav, I probably share it 100%. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even though I watched The Flavor of Love and thought it was great TV, it was a freaking train wreck. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I said, he's a great entertainer. He's a great whatever, but I mean, he's a contradiction. But I love him. But you know what? I love Walk. But man.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna have to do is spin that back on that one right there because you know what? I get you. Yeah.
So,
Yep. But one more thing I want to say before we go, let's talk about the Bomb Squad just a little bit. They had did.
Wait. Before that, let's not completely leave this album because I definitely want to give out a shout out to War 33 and the Third. That was another one of them fast, hype joints. You know what I'm saying? So, shout out to that. But go ahead, do what you're doing. And I think that might have been a song where he's dissing the Juice Crew. Talking about, don't tell me what to the whole Juice Crew, kiss me and my goose down.
Oh, that was 33. Oh, that was a good song. Yeah.
So one of the faster songs, but yeah, it was definitely one of the faster songs. But go ahead.
I just wanted to mention that Bomb Squad, I think they was like executive producers or something on the Juice soundtrack.
Yes. Yep, they did. So they and now you can hear it. That's the Rakim song.
Know the Ledge.
Know the Ledge, and the Big Daddy Kane song,
Enough
which
Respect.
was Enough Respect.
So you can also hear the Bomb Squad all through America's Most and Kill at Will too.
Yeah.
Not Kill It Will. They didn't do Kill It Will at all.
Yeah, but you know what? You hear it because
You hear
Jinx, Jinx was heavily influenced by
the
them,
impression.
you know
Yeah. He got a lot of influence.
Yeah.
From it.
Influence also means stole. Yeah.
Inspired.
But it was a certain song on here
Shout out to
called
the legendary
"Does Your
Jinx.
Man Know About Me?" I love that song. It's like a singing song and everything. It's like an R&B song. But this dude had actually used Marvin Gaye, "I Want You" on a piece, like a sample, and then they had blended it in with what else? It was another. I think George Benson. What's that song? It's not The Masquerade. What's that damn song? Anyway, they had used this way they used these two samples. Just incredible. These dudes were like, just I don't know, geniuses at sampling.
They were absolutely genius. They were the best at flipping the wild stuff. You know what I'm saying? When one of the brothers departed, you could it felt like they lost a bit of what they were. You know what I'm saying? Production wise, Brick Walls would be able to speak on that type of stuff. But I remember when one of the Shockley brothers had kind of moved on, and it impacted the totality of the project. Without all of them there, it went to a different place. Still dope.
Yes, sir. And also they had used that song "Can't Trust It." They had actually used that same beat for Aaron Hall, "Don't Be Afraid." So just to let you know. Anyway, just wanted to throw some stuff out there.
Can't Trust It, Shut Them Down. That's the fourth album. Apocalypse 91. The Enemy Strikes Back.
Didn't they do an album that was like a compilation where had Homie Don't Play That?
Yeah, that was that 91. That was actually I don't remember what that was. There was that album. I forgot what that was called.
Because that's when they introduced Sister Soldier, too, I believe.
Sister Soldier. And Sister Soldier, that's when Terminator X did his own compilation album, Valley of the Jeep Beats. And that's where we had that song Buck Wildin' with Sister Soldier in Public Enemy. That was a dope ass song.
That was dope. I had two copies of that because I was spinning that back to I remember.
Buck Wildin'. Yes. Sister Soldier. She was making the rounds on Donahue as well, man. Donahue was a dope ass show.
Oh yeah,
man.
It was.
We don't have nothing like that really right now, I don't think, But yeah, that was a dope ass show.
So that's our take on the Public Enemy, y'all. Anyway, so with that being said, I think it's about 11:30, so it's about time for us to raise up out of here. So once again, we want to thank y'all for tuning in to the Spin That Back show, 10:30 on Saturday mornings. We should be back here next weekend. We have some more dope stuff for you. Hip hop, 79 to 99. Remember that. That's what we talk about here. So we'd like to thank y'all for joining. Hit that like, subscribe, and comment. Just leave a comment. We appreciate it. We appreciate y'all. And we're about to be out of here. Till next week. Peace, y'all.